Hello there and welcome to this week's edition of Creative Critique. Now the film in question that I'm going to be reviewing this week is a film, again continuing my season of somewhat blockbuster reviews, continuing again also from the sci-fi theme from a couple of weeks ago where I reviewed Guardians of the Galaxy Volume 2. Only this time it's a film in the sci-fi world of horror and thriller. Most certainly, but that will be no surprise considering the film in question is the latest in the Alien film franchise, and therefore, of course, it is Alien Covenant, directed again by Ridley Scott. Now, I will state from the off that I am a massive Alien and Aliens fan, so therefore I'm going to be looking at this review in terms of two aspects. I'm going to be splitting it probably into two. And the first part of the review will be me trying to be as impartial as possible, as though I am a first-time viewer seeing this film. Focusing maybe on particularly on performances and more technical aspects and things like that. The second part of the review is me going to be going into full-on geek mode and fanboy mode and picking at certain things possibly that are very more personal to me in terms of how the film sets itself up in this world. Particularly from Prometheus, and also then obviously how it plays into the Alien film world and how it leads up to effectively, well, these sequels of Alien and Aliens. So yes, there we go. So like I say, I'm going to briefly set up the film, a little plot synopsis here for Alien Covenant. So effectively we feature colony mission ship that is effectively going to a planet to colonize the planet, to set it up ready for human inhabitants. Only they get a distress call, they are woken up, and therefore then go investigate this distress call on this apparent inhabitable planet that they seem to have missed somehow in their endeavours as a crew, and so on and so forth. So they investigate. Things don't go particularly well, but then that would not be a particular surprise. And then certain habit breaks loose with particular creatures and so on and so forth, and blah 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 blah. It is certainly not an uncommon many threads of story and tropes. Now, probably what could be best described, like I say, I'm going to stop trying to talk about the plot now, because I'll do that properly later in the review. So let's talk about particular aspects of the film. So that will be in relation to, let's look at, so for example, the sets are fantastic, the costumes are fantastic, they have set up the actual look of the alien world perfectly, so everything looks superb. On a purely physical point of view, again on the cinematography is wonderful. Ridley Scott certainly has a shooting style, and therefore his cinematography as well, that lends itself to the sci-fi genre and that grandiose vision that he does have, Ridley Scott. What also must be said is in terms of the actual alien effects, and I'm not spoiling anything here by saying about alien effects, am I? Some of it works fantastic, and some of it is just ropey, and I don't understand why it's so ropey. There's some, like I say, there's some wonderful physical effects. There's also some pretty damn decent CGI effects, but there is some CGI effects that are just pretty. Like I say, I can't think of the other word is they are just not very good, and therefore it does take a little bit out of you when you're watching the film, because this is the first time I'm going to be mentioning in terms of the other films in sort of the world and the franchise, because at least with other particular entries in this film saga, there was a physical feel to the creatures themselves and things like that, and it could physically do you harm, and there was something organic and real about it, and that lent itself to the whole point of the storyline in the first place. Is it was something of, yeah, okay, let's go into that later. So yeah, there's some good stuff there. There's some okay stuff, and some not very good stuff. Let's continue to talk about the fact that this is, of course, a sequel to Prometheus as well. Now, I suppose regardless of my own personal opinion about Prometheus, he was trying something grand, and he was trying to possibly look at something where, in a different way of, like I say, it's such a grandiose visionary, Ridley Scott, as a director. The problem is he can't quite relate that well unless he's got a good script. The script wasn't quite good enough for Prometheus, and unfortunately, I'm even more disappointed for this film because the scriptwriter in this film, I can't remember the actual scriptwriter's name, but the films he's worked on and wrote things for include The Light of the Last Samurai, Gladiator, Rango, I believe. There's also a couple others there. Well, The Aviator, and all films that I really did enjoy. I think there was some good script work going on in those films. Yet somehow he seems to have gotten somebody who's supposed to be a good scriptwriter in here, and he still can't connect his vision for the film in a dialogue form. I don't quite know why. The whole thing about the creators and things like that in the Prometheus film is kind of blown out of ridiculous proportion here as well, because they suddenly become even less relevant considering how much he put into trying making them sort of so big and make us think, oh, who are we, what are we, where have we come from, and oh, we are so small, we've come from this, and so forth, so forth. I'm just talking rubbish. I'm sorry, I started talking rubbish there. And that is in part the problem, because the dialogue doesn't know how to convey these ideas. And I can't convey how to describe how they've tried to describe it and convey them. So what hope in hell does it have of connecting that aspect of the film to the audience? And I was in a first night showing of this film, and a decent size on, and it looked like, in part, a audience that was there because they were fans of that particular type of film and that particular franchise film as well. It is a franchise film. So, and there was a general feeling of absolutely apathy to it, and even there was a couple of lads that was just ridiculously funny, unintentionally funny, I believe. So it's not a great script job on the film. And let's now cut to the chase as well again here. This is a film that is taking elements quite physically of Alien, of Aliens, and Prometheus, and try to meld three different sort of genres of sci-fi here into one film, and then still expect you to be able to take something away from it, from each of those aspects. It is a complete mashup. There is elements of horror, body horror from the first film. There's absolute riveting action from the second film, and like I say, from Prometheus, there's the whole grand thing about creation and grand ideas of where we come from and so on and so forth, and what makes us, what are gods, what makes it to be, what makes you to be a god, what makes you to be human, and so on and so forth like that. And it's trying to meld all those different things from those three films. Now, I've seen a lot of reviews that have been extremely varied, and some people saying they took all the best elements of those films and put it in this film, Ridley Scott. I am struggling. I'm really, really struggling with this film, because the whole point of, let's talk about the first two films to begin with. The reason why those two films worked so well, and they were so different in terms of tone as well, is because they had simple ideas. They were simple ideas. To then try and take those simple ideas and add a grand element to them kind of ruins what made them so special in the first place. That's just me clearly being a personal fan of those first two films. There's also an element in this film where I do feel, because while he was making Prometheus, he said, yes, it's in the alien world, but it's nothing to do with the aliens themselves. It may be the fact that it's an alien spaceship there, but the story isn't about that. And then at the end of the film, he tags on an alien at the end of it, just to, well, you know, please a section of himself, possibly, and therefore fans. And obviously, after that film had been released, there's a lot of talk regarding Neil Blomkamp, the District 9 director, and Elysium and Chappie director, who had been in touch with Fox and been wanting to make an Alien film, and they were quite responsive to him. It does appear as well, from my point of view, that Ridley Scott has certainly got wind of this, and he decided, no, I'm reclaiming this Alien brand right here and now. I am the powerhouse for this studio. You need me. I am the one who started this whole thing, so therefore I have the power and I have every right to do what I want with this character. Go away, Neil Blomkamp. I am now dealing with this story and this character again, and therefore your series is now dead in the water, it would appear. I'm no massive fan of Neil Blomkamp. I have a love-hate relationship. But he could have possibly done something more different and less convoluted and less... Almost... I feel like Ridley Scott is so high on his own grandeur right now with what he's trying to do with this series. I think you can feel him as exasperation, can't you? So there's, like I say, there's a whiff of accelerating, because there was always going to be a Prometheus sequel from his point of view, but I think he's clearly done it in a more alien-orientated way than he probably originally planned. And that's clearly seen with how that first Prometheus film ended and how this film portrays itself again here, about what the whole point of the story. I'm not going to the particular story elements because you should experience them for yourselves, but there's certain things in this film that are extremely frustrating, and because of, like I say, the simplicity of those and beauty of those first two films, and what makes them so fantastic is the simplicity, and what happened to it just being a fantastic monster movie? What happened to that? Please. Oh. Right, yeah. So there's good work. I say there's good work, set work. There's good cinematography. There's some decent performances. Michael Fassbender in a dual role is quite wonderful to watch. You can't deny that Fassbender is not engrossing to watch in this film. It's great, but again, it feels like, just like particularly with Prometheus, it was a waste of a cast. When you even look at something like Prometheus, where it had Idris Elba, Charlize Theron, Guy Pearce, Noomi Rapace, a fantastic, truly fantastic cast, and they did nothing with them. And in part, again, it occurs here again, and it's certainly a more varied and more interesting cast, I'll say, in terms of particular characters and roles in this film. Danny McBride is a surprisingly effective character, not fully utilised properly. Catherine Watson does a decent job, almost a Ripley Jr. role, but not to the same sort of effect, obviously. Like I say, Michael Fassbender is great. If you are probably looking at this film from the point of view of never seeing aliens, you have to have seen Prometheus, I think, in order to get particular aspects of the film. But if you've not seen Alien and Aliens, you're probably in a much better position to probably enjoy this film than I am, and anybody who has possibly seen those films and that saga and series of films. Because you're coming into the film with less baggage. You're possibly seeing an origin story from its inception, from a first viewer's point of view, and therefore much more open-minded. Those elements will be certainly more interesting, because you've not seen them before, and I've seen them done a lot better. Simple as that. There's also elements about it that frustrated me because it had moments of like, oh, that could have been really good. But to be fair, there was also the end sequence on the spaceship of the alien was a great visual treat. I'm not gonna lie. But there's something also in a trailer that showed the alien doing something in particular that was awesome in the trailer that never popped up in the film. Fox, what are you doing? You just have a terrible track record of producing trailers at the moment. You're shocking. And Ridley Scott, someone needs a word, because you're taking this possibly in a direction that I don't think anybody particularly wants you to. And that's clearly my own personal opinion. I'm too close to this film franchise. So, like I say, if you've probably not got the baggage of seeing the other films, it'll be a much more enjoyable experience. There will certainly be flaws in a general film sense, but there'll be things you've not seen before, possibly from not seeing those original films, that you'll be able to enjoy more about them. But it certainly does in certain moments seem like a complete recreation. Like, we're going to take that bit from that film, that bit from that film, and that bit from that film, and well, what's the point of that? It's just sticking things together that don't work as a mashup. There's certainly, I'm not a massive comic book fan, but I've read quite a few of the Aliens comics. And there's certain things regarding the origins of the aliens, not particular origins, but how they're used in a world, so in the comic book world, for example. That makes sense, and I just love the pure simplicity of the creature just being an absolute decimating creature that you don't understand. It's purely about survival for itself. But it's been turned here by Ridley Scott with Prometheus, and now in Alien Covenant to something of almost greater. It's not about the alien, it's about what creates the alien. Well, obviously it is, because that's what the part of the storyline's about. I'm frustrated. I've got nothing more to say, because I'm going to have to end it, because I just don't really know what to say at all. Yeah, I'm sorry. I have been physically I've been struggling with the person I went to see it with. I've been struggling with just general wanting to get things out there, but not quite knowing what to do or say to particular elements of it, and I just don't quite know what further more to say. So, Alien Covenant is the latest film review in my Blockbuster series of reviews. There we go. Yeah, there we go. So, I don't quite know what my next review will be. I'm probably going to take a few weeks off, because this is just truly affecting me too much, seeing this film. And, yeah, what more can I say? Something else I will throw in there as well is about the game Alien Isolation. Because there was a marketing campaign clearly as well that pretty much took the look and feel of Alien Isolation, the game, which was a fantastic game. It really did catch the feel of the first Alien film perfectly into a T. And there's particular posters and particular moments in that trailer that I just mentioned before about a particular scene that lended a devastation of the creature to the possibility of the film. Yet it's not about the alien; it's about other things, and it's up its own fucking ass, isn't it? Ridley Scott has just got. He needs someone to channel his vision better, and no one's doing that for him. And it's come across as bloated, indulgent, and I don't know what more to say. There we go. And breathe, Craig. There we go. That was my review of Alien Covenant. So I hope you've enjoyed or hated my rant. I'm sure there's going to be no consensus on this film, because it is completely all over the place with particular things. So there we go. Alien Covenant, the latest film in my Blockbuster season review series of reviews. Thank you if you have for watching this extremely bloated video. And I do hope to see and speak to you again very soon. Thank you very much for watching if you have. And goodbye.